All right, everybody, welcome back. Good late morning. We've got another Jalen Milroe video to do, and earlier today we did Jalen Milroe by the numbers. If you haven't already seen that video, go check it out. Posted it this morning. And if you didn't watch that video, you might also be wondering about the green screen effect. Again, I explain it in that video. Short version is that my software just isn't working right now, and I'll get it to work later, but I got videos to make. So we're just going to go with this for now. All right. After you talk about the numbers, you got to talk about the actual traits. What does Jalen Milroe do on the football field? What does he do well? What does he bring to the table that is interesting? What does he need to get better at? What is he probably never going to get better at? These are the things we need to understand when trying to break down Milroe's game and figure out if he's an NFL quarterback. And if he's not, what does he have to do to become one? And if he can't, then what can we possibly do to get him right before the at another position before he ends up crashing out of the NFL entirely? Which is, I don't really want to talk about that possibility because it would annoy me very much if we ended up spending a third-round pick on a gadget player. But we got to figure out what we can do with him either way. So we're going to go through traits here. I'm going to go with pros and cons. Going to take as much time as I need to talk this through because this is a complex one. Before I get to this, though, please like the stream if you haven't already. Click the thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Click the bell for notifications. Become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to help support the channel. All right, so let's start with the pros. Let's start with the good things about Jalen Milroe. And I think most of the good things with Milroe are pretty obvious and readily apparent if you take some time to study him, take some time to look at the tape, take some time to basically understand his game. He's probably got the biggest arm in this draft class. He does. Now, this draft class is not particularly good. This draft class is, I think, weak at quarterback, particularly when it comes to quarterbacks that have high potential. We don't even really have like a Joe Milton in this class, who isn't a very good prospect, but has a monster arm. Milroe stands out. He can fire it into tight windows. He's got a lot of velocity on his throws, and he was very effective throwing deep balls in 2023. He was very successful at creating big plays downfield. If you go back and look at the numbers that I posted in the previous video, a lot of success, particularly in 2023, making big plays happen. So it's not just a matter of having a big arm. Big arm only gets you so far if you're not able to accurately get it down the field. He can do that, and he can also fire the ball into tight windows to make throws through those tight cover windows. So those two things combine well to make an intriguing foundation for a quarterback, I guess you could say. So we've got that. He's speedy. I think at his pro day, he ran a 4.4. Maybe it was even a little sub 4.4. Now, that's pro day, but he probably is 4.4 or pretty close to it. I think he is a little bit faster than Jalen Hurts. I think that he is probably not as, well, okay, definitely not as fast as a guy like Prime Michael Vick, but he's got great speed, and it is a weapon out there, and it is something that is going to frustrate opposing defenses, and it is something that he is going to be able to use effectively. He's explosive as well. He's not just somebody who's fast in a straight line. He has legitimate dual threat value as a running quarterback. This is not somebody who can run fast but isn't actually a dual threat. This guy is the total package in that regard. And it's not just speed and it's not just power. He is elusive and skilled when he's in the open field. This is somebody who is a talented runner of the football, knows how to make players miss, knows how to power through tackles, and he has a good understanding of how to set up his runs as well. This is not, there are players out there that are fast, but they're not really effective runners because they're not creative enough. They don't plan things out well enough. They don't have the vision. This guy seems to have that, and I think he does a good job maximizing his yards on runs. He's deadly when he's put outside the pocket. You put him moving in the out of the pocket to his right so we can kind of run into the throw. He's very tough to deal with. He's somebody who threatens the defense with his mobility there, and he also can make throws. So if you get this guy on the move, get him outside the pocket, you are getting somebody that can really do some good things. I do think that when the protection is good and he feels comfortable and he's trusting the guys in front of him to keep him clean, you do see some quarterback ability here. I do think that when he's comfortable, you can see parts. You can see some parts of an NFL quarterback. So I do think that in the best case scenario, there is some path he can walk where he becomes a true NFL quarterback. Because right now, I don't feel like that he is, but it predicates on letting him feel comfortable and protecting him, which is easier said than done. We've been trying to figure it out for a while now. Like I said earlier, he's actually built pretty stout. He's built like a linebacker almost. That allows him to run with power. Maybe not quite as powerful as Jalen Hurts, but he can kind of do some of the same stuff. Bowl over tackles, fall forward for yards, make sure he gets that quarterback sneak. So he's got that power running ability as well. He's got a very quick release. He can get the ball out of his hands fast. There's no like unnecessary loop with the ball where he has to like duck it down. There's no lingering back there. There's none of that going on. It's just he can get the ball out in a flash. So he does have that whip fast release, and he can get it out of his hands quickly when he's under duress. So that's good. The release is at least in that part there. I don't know if it's there in every way. He's a tough player. I don't question his toughness, just like I don't question his mentality. I think he's got the right mentality coming into this league. He's tough. He's willing to take contact when running. He's willing to take a big hit from a blitz when he's delivering a pass. I don't see anything soft here. I don't see any sign that he's going to take hits and then just decide to check out of a game or anything like that. And on top of being a good runner, you do see him use his mobility to buy time for throws as well. He's not somebody who is going to drop his eye level as soon as he takes off. He is going to continue to look for receivers even as he's moving. So it's not just a matter of he turns into a running back as soon as he leaves the pocket. And the final pro has some upside as a gadget player and trick play specialist. At best, it's something that he does to kill time for a couple years while he's learning how to be a quarterback. At worst, it can probably become the thing that he does if he doesn't make it as an NFL quarterback. He can be a receiver that can throw, reverse passes. He can do flea flickers. He can do backward passes into four. You guys know what I'm talking about, the trick play stuff. So worst case scenario, you have a guy who can do those things. Now we got to get to some of the cons here, some of the issues. And here's the thing, guys, because this is the thing that I hear with Jalen Milroe a lot from people who like him, who don't like the fact that I don't like him. I don't think he's going to be good. Reaching potential is not just an on-off switch where either you do it or you don't. It's like a slider bar. And there's another slider bar within that slider bar that is also the odds of you reaching that potential. I don't doubt that Jalen Milroe has very high potential. I don't know if he has all-time potential the way some people act like, but he does have pretty high potential with his arm and his mobility. But I think his odds of reaching that potential or even getting close to it is very low. And the reason why is because there's a long list of cons here, which I'm going to go into now. And he's going to have to fix most of these things. First of all, he's got zero nuance with his throws. I think this is one of the things that really stands out to me. Everything's a fastball. He is Colin Kaepernick. If you remember Colin Kaepernick, everything Kaepernick threw was just a laser, basically trying to embed the football into the stomach of his receiver. There was no touch. There was no layering. There was no feathering. There's something similar going on here. Everything is just whipping out of his hands as a bullet. And there are times where you need the bullet, but there are times where you really don't. Sometimes there are plays where he really needs to kind of just layer it in between the linebackers and the safeties, and he doesn't do it. He can't do it. Everything's coming out too hot for him. So I think that's a real problem, and I don't know if it can be fixed, maybe. But here's the other thing going on here. Like I said about his hands earlier, there's reason to believe his hands are a lot smaller than reported at the combine. And you got those small hands, so you've got ball security issues. Is he going to fumble? Is he going to be able to keep the ball in his possession? Is he going to be able to throw tight spirals? If his hands are small, those things become very difficult to do. And you watch his throwing motion, guys. And Brandon of the Hawks Nest has said this before, but I think it's actually a very good observation, and I think it's very true, so I'm going to repeat it here. He throws the ball like I would throw a cinder block. It just doesn't look like he feels very natural throwing the football. It doesn't look like a quarterback should throwing the football. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. I mean, some people are trying to make a Russell Wilson comparison here with Milroe. Russell Wilson had the big hands, was able to grip the ball really well, and he looked great throwing that ball back in college when he was an unfinished product. Like, there's none of that with Milroe here. So that makes me feel like there's something wrong here that cannot be fixed. Like I said earlier, he regressed significantly as a passer in the DeBoer offense, which on some level it's understandable, but on another level, I think it speaks to the fact that he's not going to be able to be a pro-style quarterback. I mean, we know what DeBoer's offense can do. It turned Michael Penix into a Heisman finalist. It turned him into a top 10 overall pick. It turned him into a guy who broke a ton of school records, broke Pac-12 records. And that system can work really well in college, but Milroe didn't really take to it that well. There was real regression. And I think I would be amiss to not point it out as we draft him. Loses a lot of his value when he's staying inside the pocket. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't work well with him when he stays inside the pocket. I don't think he throws very accurately. I think his footwork is suspect. I think his ability to take advantage of good protection is sometimes a little bit limited by his slower processing speed. So when he's trying to be a pocket quarterback, there's not much to say. His anticipatory throwing skills are lackluster. Doesn't really ever throw the wide receivers open. He just kind of throws it. And I'm not seeing the Joe Burrow-like ability to find the covered receiver, throw it to where he knows the receiver can get to and will be open when he gets there, and then he just goes. So the anticipatory throwing skills are missing. Just, I don't even want to say a little bit. It's pretty lackluster, honestly. So there's none of that. He's mechanically poor. Like, his footwork is inconsistent. The way in which he lines up his throws is inconsistent. I feel like every time he throws the ball, his feet are wide, and that probably leads to some of his overthrows and throwing it wide the way that he does. So his accuracy is negatively affected big time by his mechanics being bad. Footwork is inconsistent, like I said. I'm starting to wonder if I'm imagining it because it's like almost every play. But it really feels like his feet are just too wide on these throws. And I feel like that's why he misses so many throws. He has some really bad misses from some of the games I looked at. And I think a part of it is he just needs to close his stance up a little bit. He handles pressure pretty poorly. He struggles to feel the rush coming. He doesn't have that Jedi-like sense of when he's about to get hit on the backside. Doesn't have that blind side sense of when he's about to, when he needs to climb the pocket. And he does climb the pocket well, and he does evade pressure well, but I don't think he does a very good job actually handling it most of the time. There are exceptions, of course, but overall, I don't think he handles it well. And unlike other quarterback prospects we've talked about, he's not big enough to actually play tight end. Like, this is the thing that we talk about with guys like mostly Joe Milton. It also came up a little bit with Anthony Richardson, though. These uber athletic quarterbacks where you look at them and you go, hey, if they don't make it a quarterback, they're actually big enough and athletic enough to play tight end. Jalen Milroe is not even 6'2". He's 217 pounds. I don't know any tight ends that are that small. Like, he is not... I'm pretty sure Taysom Hill has a pretty good amount of size on him. I know all this stuff is unofficial. Like, we don't know how big Taysom Hill actually is because his combine was forever ago. But I feel like Taysom Hill is bigger than Milroe by a pretty good margin. So you have some limitations on that front. Not a big fan of the way he makes reads and processes data. It seems very limited to me. There are some moments of him going to his second or third read, but for the most part, he is a quarterback that needs to be able to hit his first read and just go. He needs to be able to hit his back foot, make the read, see the guy open, get it out of his hands. Once he starts processing, you see him hold onto the ball too long. You see him get a little bit flustered. You see him make mistakes. Much of his good production from 2024 came against the weaker opponents. There were 2 games last year against SEC opponents, so conference games where he was good. The Georgia game where he was spectacular, and the Vanderbilt game. And Vanderbilt's just an okay team, but they're a conference opponent. Other than that, he was pretty awful against conference opponents. I think even if you include the Georgia game, it was like 5 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and more losses than Alabama is used to. I mean, I know it's not all his fault, but that's just the facts. It's pretty easy to confuse him pre-snap, leading to big mistakes post-snap. If he doesn't get a good sense of what's coming pre-snap, if the defense rolls coverage late or changes the look late, it throws him off. And there are plays where he just chucks it right to the defense because he wasn't expecting the guy to be there. And I think sometimes he scrambles out of clean pockets because he wants to be outside the pocket, but you can't always do that when you're a quarterback. Sometimes you have to stand tall, make the throw, and I've seen him do it before, but there are definitely times where I feel like he's leaving the pocket early and when he doesn't need to. And overall, even though I like the no risk it, no biscuit strategy, he is a guy who always wants the big play. He is a guy who will hold on to the ball too long trying to make one at times. His time to throw partially represents that. The good news is I feel like under DeBoer, this improved, but I think it's still going to be a concern, just like it's kind of a concern for a lot of these mobile quarterbacks. They do tend to lean on their athleticism too much, and you get some big negative play sometimes. So that's a pretty long list of cons. I think the con list is a little bit longer than the pros list. And some of this stuff, maybe he doesn't have to fix and can still be good. But a lot of this is like, you need to do these things to be a good quarterback. It's hard to be a good quarterback in this league if everything you throw is a fastball. It's hard to be a good quarterback in this league when you struggle inside the pocket. It's hard when you're mechanically poor, when you don't handle pressure well, when you don't process data or make reads as quickly as you need to. Like, these are the things you need to do to be a quarterback in the NFL, and maybe he can fix some of it. It's hard to imagine he fixes all or even most of it. But we'll talk more about that later today. See you guys later. Go Hawks. More on Jalen Milroe coming.